Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Monday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, fatal helicopter crash. 2 people lost their lives in a helicopter accident in Swakopmund. The helicopter is said to have been on a test flight after being in maintenance for a while. The 2 victims are said to have been the pilot and a crew member. First responders are currently on the scene to remove the remains. Now, a helicopter went down in the vicinity of DRC in Swakopmund. It is suspected that there are fatalities, but confirmation is awaited from authorities. This is still a developing story. An artificial sweetener commonly used in diet sodas and over-the-counter medications has been officially declared as possibly carcinogenic to humans by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, a division of the World Health Organization. According to officials, there is limited evidence that aspartame can cause cancer in humans, and as a result, the sweetener has been classified as an AIRC Group 2B carcinogen. The latter is a substance that has the potential to cause cancer in living tissue. The AIRC has 4 levels of classification, namely carcinogenic, probably, carcinogenic, possibly, carcinogenic, and not classifiable. Each level is based on the strength of the evidence and not specifically on how dangerous a substance is. Products ranging from processed meats to asbestos to electromagnetic fields associated with cell phones have been declared as possible carcinogens at some point in the past, depending on usage. Now, in our next story, Namibia Bus and Taxi Association has introduced a defensive driving and first aid training courses for all bus and taxi drivers in Namibia. The NABDA Secretary General Pandepala Nakathingo has said that the association has trained close to 500 taxi and bus drivers across the country. He said they have taken this training to various regions because they want to make sure seen.
Die Botma-moordverhoor het vandag
slow, but more research is needed, including tracing Pangolin product origins and trade routes through DNA analysis of Pangolins and Pangolin products in source, transit, and end market countries. DNA data is being collected. International initiative to facilitate such analysis is currently underway. Now, according to the report, Pangolins currently rank second behind rhinos as the most targeted high-value species in Namibia in terms of the number of cases registered in 2022. Out of the 175 wildlife.
The English Premier League continued, the biggest game being...
On that note, it is all our love, all our light.
Deputy Prime Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, who opened the inaugural meeting of the high-level panel of experts on Africa and the reform of multilateral systems this morning, said Africa can no longer be dictated to and must be seen as an equal partner in global affairs.
Want to see. My profound gratitude goes to the Amani Africa team for co-organizing this consultative meeting with the team in Namibia. I would like to emphasize that the reform of multilateralism system is a critical issue for Namibia and for Africa as a continent. And that's why we are persistently calling for the reform of the UN Security Council. Ladies and gentlemen, this consultation taking place in Namibia is of particular importance to us, given our history. His Excellency Dr. Hage Geingob, President of the Republic of Namibia, is always making it very clear. It is these sentiments which is understood and owned by Namibians. Namibia was one of those countries whose people were denied the right to self-determination. The people of Namibia fought to gain their independence with the help of the Southern Africa frontline states, the Organization of African Unity, today we say the AU, the UN, and other multilateral organizations. Therefore, it was through the galvanization of the ordinary freedom fighters who were supported by the international community, which provided us with moral and material support, that we managed to liberate our country from the apartheid and colonial bondage and eventually attain our independence on the 21st of March 1990. Therefore, our faith in multilateral system grow out of our own experience. It is against this background that we believe the international community has an obligation to assist the others who are still not enjoying self-determination.
After the break, we look at the improvement of vehicle sales in Namibia in our economic news segment. Do stay tuned.
Welcome to Active Kids, a day that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspire
New face to the 150.
the perfect mix of play and education. Every weekday at 10 o'clock, and let the adventure begin.
Let's take a look at our economic news. The number of vehicle sales increased by 51.4% year-on-year from 22 units in June 2022 to 1,320 in June 2023. In prior months, sales were declining since March 2023, with June sales being the first monthly.
Makes the dream work.
Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Joining the show that highlights the news-making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond.
We continue with our economic and strategic partnership in Tunis on Sunday, along with Libya. Tunisia is the main point of departure for thousands of migrants crossing the central Mediterranean to Europe. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Dutch President Tunisia is involved in projects for an undersea fiber optic cable and an electric cable to link the two shores of the Mediterranean. Let's take a The British pound trades against the Namibian dollar at 23.52, against the Namibian dollar trades against the euro at 20.24, and against the US dollar at 18.02. 2 Namibian dollars and 51 cents gets you one, trading at 0.97%, going for $78 and 60 cents per barrel. After the break, we get into your international news. Do stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraika. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Getting into our international news, more than 50 pilot whales have died in Scotland after being stranded on a beach on the Isles of Lewis, the largest mass stranding in the country in decades. Authorities were alerted to the incident on Sunday morning, and subsequent attempts to refloat more than a dozen living whales were unsuccessful. Rescuers later decided to euthanize the remaining stranded whales on welfare grounds. In total, 55 whales died and one is believed to have survived. The charity British Divers Marine Life Rescue said one female was found with a vaginal prolapse, and it's suspected that the whole pod was stranded after one whale suffered birthing complications. The Scottish Marine Animal Stranding Scheme said it will begin examining the bodies of the mammals to determine the cause of the stranding. A Kenyan evangelical pastor suspected of stealing children presented as miracle babies, the result of his prayers, was acquitted on Monday by a Nairobi court due to insufficient evidence. Gilbert Dyer, a former stonemason who moved to London in the 1990s, was accused of stealing 5 children between 1999 and 2004. The Reverend's lawyer, John Swaka, told AFP that the charges were fabricated and could not be brought before a court. Dyer, who owns several churches, including in London, Liverpool, and Nottingham, was extradited from Britain to Kenya in 2017 after a legal battle lasting almost 10 years. Now, the Reverend and his wife, Mary, claimed that infertile or menopausal women could become pregnant in 4 months without having sexual relations, thanks to their prayers. According to the prosecution, the babies had in fact been stolen, most of them from the maternity ward of Pamwane Hospital in Nairobi, a poor suburb of the capital. After the break, we get into your weather predictions.
This is Africa. Good morning.
My name is Aina Raizakaya alongside Diana Master.
In the ANC conference in December. So starting off with the cycling.
Africa, good morning. Do have a lovely...
Minister Monica Mchangwa has said that
with the soccer, the English Premier League continued, the biggest game being...
On that note, it is all our love, all our light.
In the northern regions, the weather conditions are clear throughout the day. The maximum temperature ranges from 24 to 28 degrees, while the minimum temperature ranges from 8 to 11 degrees. In the central regions, the weather conditions are also clear throughout the day. The maximum temperature ranges from 23 to 26 degrees, while the minimum temperature ranges from 8 and 11 degrees. In the southern regions, the maximum temperature ranges from 23 to 29 degrees, while the minimum temperature ranges from 10 to 17 degrees. In the coastal regions, the weather conditions are clear throughout the day. The maximum temperature ranges from 26 to 33 degrees, while the minimum temperature ranges from 16 to 20 degrees. We'll be getting into your sports news on the other side of the break.
Ranging from current affairs, community stories, local index remains unchanged while overall index...
Thank you for joining the show that highlights the news-making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond.
Always major victorious.
We will now head over to the sports desk, proudly brought to you by Sports Rep.
Well, a good evening, viewers. Narkis beat Compact Tumeb Gymnasium, that is a 39-7 on Saturday. As you can see there, that's just some footage from that rugby game that we had going on in Valfus Bay. Namibia head coach and director of rugby, Alistair Coutier, says he aims to win 2 matches at the World Cup in France with this team from the land of the brave. At the second national training camp attended by 45 players in Swakopmund on Saturday, Coutier said, 2 is what we are going for. We will shoot for the stars and hopefully land on the moon. We aim to have higher than just going for 1 win. We have talent here, and once the players understand that they play for the country and its people, they can definitely go out there and make anything happen. Boxing promoter Nesta Tobias has expressed satisfaction after his stable boxers delivered a clean sweep in neighboring Zimbabwe. The MTC Nesta Promotions had sent 5 boxers to compete in the neighboring country over the weekend. This was a great investment for our promotion and boxing in the country, and I want to thank our sponsors MTC and PST Bet for allowing us to represent in Namibia. Boxing in Zimbabwe, that is. Well, that was a good fight from the men, and as all of them came back with huge wins. Well, that's all that we have for you from the Sports Wrap desk. It is goodbye.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Wrap Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa.
You're watching Sunset News, and if you've just free with June in Namibia is being collected, which will assist in tracing smuggled pangolins and establish the extent of the international illegal trade in this species. According to the Wildlife Protection and Law Enforcement Report in Namibia for 2022, it is not known how many pangolins are successfully smuggled out of Namibia.